another reason why I love Joe is because he sees more in me. He sees he sees the better parts of me.
Keenan wants to pray with me and, just super encouraging, because it can be easy to get defeated, especially if you don't get it, right away.
I mean, if you go by that, then your identity as a man is low-key lost.
Then now he's in school, he's in barber school to get his license. So for me, I just try to be supportive in any way that I can.
Well, I know the first thing, and it probably makes Joe a little bit more mad when we have a conflict, to say, okay, just breathe. First breathe. I really try to listen. I really do try to listen whenever there's an issue. But what are some other practices? What do we just give each other time?
Well, I try to give you time, but I feel like you don't like that. You're like, no, we need to talk about it. I'm like, no, just give us some time. Let's cool off. That's what way I think. But
I need to address
Victoria,
it
she needs to address it then and there. She wants it solved. And
yeah, sometimes it doesn't get solved right away. I don't know. It's a kind of a give and take. Sometimes I'll bug him until we're like, okay, we have to address it now. And then sometimes he forces me to take the time to just, hey, you need to go cool off, and we both need some space, and then we'll talk. I think both of those practices, hey, they've worked, we're still together, but I think it's a combination of kind of both of those.
If you tell this woman that 1 + 1 is 2, she can find a way to figure out if it's 3 or 4, and then come back on around and see that it really is 2. So, as relates to me, I'm very good at communicating. So what I try to do is when we have our issues, which mind you, we've been together 8 years, and I can literally count on one hand and still have fingers left as to how many times we've had heated arguments. We don't. And that's not to say that everything is perfect, but we just kind of know how to handle one another. So for the most part, I try to just talk to her and be like, look, bump what you think I'm trying to say, listen to what I'm saying. And that kind of helps. And then with her, I think that because she knows she's overthinking, she asks me a lot of questions. To the typical man, that's annoying. But for me, I kind of had to teach myself, okay, she's asking me questions because she's trying not to answer them with her own mind. So I guess from my answer is more so just understanding her as a woman first, and then ultimately as my wife, as to how I can relate to her when we do have those little bumps in the road. So top that. Boom.
Okay, well, for me, honestly, prayer. Definitely prayer, because a lot of times I feel like a lot of times men, they tend to, because they're the one that's supposed to be so strong and be the providers and the head, they tend to hold things in, and they don't really want to tell us what's really going on to consider our feelings. But for me, I just have to stay in prayer, honestly, and that's how I know how to deal with him, how to come to him, because sometimes he can be dealing with something that I have no idea, but I can I don't know what it is, but I can feel it. So for me, I just have to pray, because I can't. And then I'm an overthinker, so I can be thinking the worst when it's could be really small. So prayer. So
one thing, I just try to one, be patient, which I'm a patient guy, so I don't rush to judgment. I don't rush to argue. I try to let the situation die down and then talk about it. But also, I don't like being mad, so if I feel like an argument is about to brew, I try to end it there. But sometimes that's not possible. We just gotta get the emotions out, let it die down, and then, you know, we can come to a conclusion, but I'm not going to bed mad.
Yeah. We do not go to bed angry. Like, we talk it out, and that's something that I've grown to like love about him, because I can harbor it forever. Like, I can take it to 3 days if I need to. So he has really brought that out of me of like, we can resolve it, you know, if possible. And like something that we learned in our premarital class is like, when you've reached a point in your argument where you feel like nothing is getting resolved, it's like you're either sleepy, hungry, you know. So something that like we notice is like, if we regroup and like we both have calmed down a little bit, then like we can revisit it, and normally the solution is like been there the whole time. So I think one thing that I have learned is just going ahead and like coming forward with the problem that I have, instead of thinking that Keenan can read my mind and thinking that, you know, I know what I want or what I need. So yeah, just being like straightforward, just coming to him directly.
This is when premarital counseling and coaching comes in handy. We have this, again, you have to start with the mindsets, right? And so we have a couple of mindsets. One I shared earlier, which is we want to reach a resolve. We're not on a quest to be right. Second, I just lost it. Give me a second. Facts over feelings. And so that's kind of hard to do sometimes when you feel so deeply, impacted about something or affected about something the other person said or did. But you can't judge or assume that person's intent, right? Which is why your feelings can't be the driving force of that conversation. So for me, I kind of go into work mode when I need to talk to him about things. By trade, I am an instructional leader and coach. And so we have this thing called action impact statements that we do when we're giving feedback. And so you state the action and then the impact of that action. Keeps it at a fact level. And so let's say, for example, he didn't take the trash out and it's stinking up the house and I'm mad. So I could be like, oh my God, it stinks in here. Like, you lazy, take this trash out. Why I married you? I could do that. Or I could say, hey, when you don't take the trash out, when they collect it, it will stink up the house. Can you start making sure you stay on top of that schedule? And that's it. So while it is not my organic response, it's something I make a cognitive effort to filter the feelings, and say what needs to be said to reach a resolve.
Listen. Don't talk. Listen. One thing she said before, and I'm just gonna front myself out again, is reaching a resolution over being right. And so for me, I know one thing that I've battled coming up in age is the need to constantly want to be right. And so I will argue you down just so you can see I'm right, and your point at that point is invalid. And so that was something that I had to grow out of. And what helps is really just listening to what the person is saying, right? If you listen and if you learn to empathize, then you can learn where this person is coming from. And then you can also gain another perspective that you didn't have of the situation before, so you can see it from different views. So I know for me, I actually have to sit, be quiet, force myself to be quiet, and just hear what she has to say, and not listening to rebut it or to refute something. No, this is how this person feels. And if this person feels like that, then the least that I can do is own up to the responsibility of making you feel that way. And then once I've listened to what you said, okay, I apologize. And not even a what do I need to do. It's just really, and I think this is the man side of me, just do better, just do better about it and go from there.
So I think one of the biggest tests in our relationship, kind of most recently, was buying the house. I think on my end, I was not ready. I didn't feel ready. I didn't want to leave. Why did we have to spend this money when, you know, I was still in the mindset of the wedding? And for Joe,
For me, I was ready. I told her I was going to buy the house.
he
with
was,
or without her,
yeah,
right? Pretty
with or
much.
without me. And I think even when I saw it, I loved this house. I don't know, but I didn't feel ready, and Joe wasn't. But I think that's a common thing throughout our whole relationship. I'm more hesitant of a person, and Joe is more, he'll grab the wheel and just go.
And I know that about you, so I feel like I know how to push you and when to push you.
And he didn't push
And I didn't
me.
force her.
He did not. Yeah, no, he didn't. And the thing that was most surprising is he didn't push me on the house. But I did feel at one point, I'm like, man, like he's really gonna do this with or without me. Like I'm either on board or I'm not. And literally sometimes all it takes is for me to sleep on it. And when I woke up, I was like, I can't, like, this is my house. Like, I'm going to regret. Like, my biggest thing is, am I going to regret not making this decision? And I would have regretted it. So I think that was one of the biggest, more recent tests.
I mean, for us, after college, it was long distance. So she was in Dallas, I was in Houston. We see each other twice a month on the weekends, but you know, it would be hard, you know, not seeing that person. You know, FaceTime and talking on the phone can only do so much. So, and like I said, I know her and she's a physical person, so me not physically being there, you know, it would get to her. So it was a point in time where we did take a break and, you know, we weren't together, and I went down to Dallas and
You came and got me back.
and we went to a concert and got back together, and shortly thereafter she ended up moving to Houston. So.
Yeah, we just kind of talked about like what we wanted things to change this time. You know, we had kind of gotten used to doing long distance, but you know, that kind of fizzles out after a while. Like it kind of takes a toll like on your car, on your body, like having to readjust your schedule every week because you know that we're coming into town or like stuff is happening that you don't want to miss, so then we're going like months without seeing each other. So you know, after we broke up, I think we kind of had like time to like figure out if like this is what we really wanted, and we knew that we were going to have to put in the work to like see it through. So when he came down, we kind of just talked about like what our next step would be. So I ended up buying a car, and he ended up moving out of his mom's house. So that kind of made it a little bit more easier, but what really changed it all is when I made the decision to move down here. So
him losing his job right after we got married, that was a testy time. It snatched us out of honeymoon phase real quick. We had to go into, all right, now we in marriage, we are here, you know. And so it's one of those things where you care about this person and you consider them, but you have a natural instinct of self-preservation, right? But you have to like check that, because I'm not married to myself. I have another human being that I've said that I'm going to share life with, and so I can't go inward when things like that happen and think that my way is right, or let me make sure I'm good, I hope he figures it out. No, you can't do that when you're married. Well, you shouldn't do that. Some people do it. You should not do that when you're married. And so that was a test for me to not be the owner of being upset about that, because it was happening to him, obviously directly, but it was also indirectly impacting me. And so I just had to make sure that I expressed myself in a healthy way, in a constructive way that didn't add to what we were already dealing with. And that was hard because I was only a couple months in, so I had to think quick. I had to apply really fast.
Yeah. Well, ooh.
What?
Actually, I guess the testing phase for me, I had a crazy health scare. at the top of February. And so when that happened, not only did it happen during that whole jobless phase, but I mean, I don't have insurance. So I'm grateful that I'm still here and you know, people helped save my life. But at the same time, I'm dealing with, or learning how to deal with stress on top to keep my health in check. So I think for me, that was a big pivotal period in my life, because it made me see that I can allow stress to get me to a certain place that I didn't even know you could get to. And not only did I need to learn how to manage my stress, I needed to learn how to manage my stress in tandem with managing how to be a husband at the same time. And it wasn't easy, but the time off from work actually helped me focus on that, so that once the jobs came around, not only was my stress level down, but I learned how to be a better husband in the end. So that, yeah, I think that was my personal test.
I think that the adjustment to, you know, moving in together, to having our own home, at first I did feel like I was treating my space as my space. I need my space still. I felt like I wasn't ready for it to be our space. But I think naturally it just turned into, okay, like, I love our home. Like, I like buying things for our house, because I was very like, I need my space. And I feel like I do still have a space in our home, but.
For me, I feel like it was easier to adjust. You know, I was excited for the house. I was buying things for the house. I was, you know, doing things around the yard inside the house to make it feel like my home. Victoria was a little hesitant about like her space.
I wasn't ready.
Even when we moved in, she was using the guest bathroom, not even the master bathroom.
I was treating our guest restroom and our guest bedroom like if it was my space. I wasn't buying things for the house, or I wasn't really doing anything. And then gradually I came out of my shell and became to accept that, okay, this is our home. Like, we're building this together. And I kind of fell into it, and
now we're excited to host different parties, host holidays. We're looking forward to Thanksgiving and even decorating for Halloween, and just imagining our future together in this home, you know, with our future kids and our future pets. So we're excited.
One thing I would say, you know, no relationship is perfect. You know, everybody's gonna go through things. Everybody's gonna have, you know, a situation come up that, you know, you wish would never happen. You know, nobody's perfect, but it's just about how you deal with it, and, you know, communication, like I said, is the main thing. You know, be transparent. You know, that's your partner. You know, don't hide anything from them. Just be transparent and, you know, trust one another.
Yeah. I think for me, it was just, you have to be happy within yourself first. Like, I can't depend on Keenan to give me the happiness that I need. Like, he adds to my happiness, but I feel like when you're coming into the relationship, you gotta kind of be set on who you are, because relationships can change you. So that's really my advice. And my advice is to couples that are about to get married, do premarital counseling. Like, nobody ever really talks about that, especially in our age group. In the Black community, people associate counseling with something being wrong. And I think it really helped us to be able to grow our relationship, because we got to talk about things that we never discussed, and also learn ways and techniques to be able to get us through difficult things that we will reach in our relationship. So that was just super beneficial, and I recommend it to everybody.
Millennials, who the world we live in today is social media driven, goals driven, like everybody tends to say. I think that subconsciously we put so much pressure on trying to keep an image And because we're trying to keep an image, the image that we get is based on a false reality of somebody else's life. And so quite naturally, what we do is to keep the image up, we reach out to the person or the persons that we're trying to mimic. But when you understand that marriage is something that's between two people and God, then you keep that closeness within the home to where if we get into an issue, I may call only one person. And that one person knows her and I, and can give me an unbiased opinion, say, Jamar, you tripping, or nah, Janisha, you're not really seeing this his type of way. And it helps keep the home together. But I feel like, in a nutshell, keeping your marriage will keep your marriage.
Definitely.